Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to another Rogue deck tech. This is going to be for my Immortal Haste deck. This is my Rakdos Immortal Haste deck. I was inspired to make this from Rogue Kevin from Rogue Deck Builder and his Mortal Servitude deck. This is a little bit different. I want to just sort of be really fast with this deck, as well as sort of have a little bit of reach later on in the game with Immortal Servitude and a lot of haste creatures. Be able to bring them all back and swing in for a lot of damage is quite awesome indeed. So this deck goes really fast. I need to improve it to make it a little bit more consistent. It's a little bit hit or miss. It either wins really fast or loses really fast, and so I need to find that fine balance to try and get myself back in the game when I need to. Because I can win by turn 4 or 5, but if it goes to 7 or 8, it's a little bit tougher for me to get back in the game and to recover, depending on the deck I'm playing, of course. But it's an extremely fast deck, an extremely fun deck to play, and there's a lot of cool things that can be done. So as you can see, my card choices are a little bit interesting, but we'll go with the creatures first. We're playing 4 Rakdos Cacklers, just a solid 1-drop. I have this in paper form, but it's a little bit different. I am running also for Legion Loyalists. I really like the card. It's another nice 1-drop, but again, I don't want to spend too much money on MTGO because I'd rather play paper form, so that's why I have him in paper form but not on here. Rakdos Shred Freak, I want to be really fast. It's what is called Immortal Haste for a reason. I have the really low costing haste creatures, and these are the main cards I'm going to be playing with. They're easy to remove, but again, I want to just create a lot of threats, keep swinging in. If they get destroyed or traded, I'm fine with that. We can pull into our Mortal Servitudes later and pay the 5 mana and bring most of them back and swing in for a nice chunk of damage. Especially Spike Jesters, I like them a lot, especially if I can get the red or black on turn 2. Red and black on turn 2, I should say. I'm running Gorehouse Chainwalkers. I really like Gorehouse Chainwalkers. Being a 3/2, it's easy to remove, of course, but most aggro decks are easy to be removed. But the idea is to play as many threats as you can and hopefully swing in and overcome your opponent that way. So Gorehouse Chainwalkers is just a solid 3 damage, and being able to enchant it with Dark Favor or Madcap skills just gives it a ton of damage, makes it a 5/3 or 5/2. Burning Tree Emissary, just really good in aggro decks, just being able to use that extra mana to add more Gorehouse Chainwalkers to the field. It's a little bit harder to add the rest of my creatures just because of the black, but if I have another mana up, I can chain Burning House or Burning Tree into Spike Jester or Shred Freak or whatever. But if at worst case scenario I can get Burning Tree and another 2/2 Rakdos Cackler out there. So those are the creatures I'm running. Ideally, I'd want the Legion Loyalists in there as well to run 24 creatures, but I just don't have them in here. I generally would have less non-creature spells. For non-creature spells, we are running 2 copies of Sinister Possession, 4 copies of Titan Strength, and 2 Dyna Charges, 2 Madcap Skills, 2 Dark Favors, and 2 Skullcracks, and these guys. Rakdos Returns and Immortal Servitudes, which is our key card in this deck. Rakdos Returns I'm playing with. It's nice to be able to sort of use it as a finisher, as well as to prevent my opponent from having any things to counter my guys with. If I want to swing in for one final thing, I can empty out his hand. So that's the main reason why those are in there, just for those last bit moments. Skullcrack is just for the burn, as well as for when they are trying to gain life back, because this deck is really quick, and if they have to try and do something to get some life back or something, I can Skullcrack them. One of the things people are doing is last breathing their own guys sometimes to get the life back, but Skullcrack will prevent that. And the burn's nice. I have finished a lot of people off because this deck's so fast. I can use Skullcrack just to finish off that last little bit of life. I like Dark Favor. It makes my early creatures a little bit tougher. That +1 is still nice to not be susceptible to shock and stuff like that. and as well as still pumping them up. Generally, I'd probably rather just run 4 madcap skills, but Dark Favor is just sort of supplementary since I don't have 4 madcap skills at the moment. Madcap skills, of course, just I would be running 4 of them. Just imagine these as madcap skills as well. But madcap skills I like just for the early aggression. You know, if they do get a blocker out there, even putting it on Rakdos Cackler and making him a 5/2 and unblockable with only one person forces them to trade. So it's really, really nice on that. Just a lot of damage, you know, putting them on a 4-turn clock. We got Sinister Possessions. This is one of the cards that sort of makes my deck a little bit on the unique side. I thought this card was really, really awesome when I saw it for an aggro deck. It's only 1 mana, and being able to enchant my opponent's blockers and being able to swing in even if they take damage, if they try to attack, it really just doesn't help them. Because this deck moves so fast, it really forces my opponent to try and do stuff to answer it, like blocking and stuff like that. So, and again, with this, since we have Immortal Servitude trying to bring back our guys, we're fine with our guys going to the graveyard. Sinister Possession has actually won me a lot of games because, you know, they only play 1 creature that can block or whatever, but taking that 2 damage, just 2 damage pretty much that we're getting through. And again, point of an aggro deck is to try and get your opponent down 20-0 as fast as possible, and Sinister Possession is sort of a curveball that they have to sort of play around because they can chump block, or they can chump block, still take 2 damage rather than taking no damage from blocking, or they can block with a tougher creature and have my creature die, but they'll still take 2 damage. So either way, it's really nice for us, and it's sort of a nice trick. And I actually really like the card. You know, it definitely has its uses, and it's not one that people actually expect. 4 copies of Titan Strength. Titan Strength is just amazing in an aggro deck. 1 mana cost pumps to be able to scry as well. Can get in a ton of damage, even in on the early turns, playing a Spike Jester and then a Titan Strength on top of that, swinging in for 6 is just awesome. And then we have more pumps through Dynacharge. Dynacharge is more for when we want to play in the later game and swing in for a lot of damage. One of the ideal situations I'd like is to bring back a lot of guys with Immortal Servitude and then overload a Dynacharge with my Haste guys just to be able to swing in for a massive amount of damage. It's yet to happen, I think, just because for the speed this goes at, I win by turn 4 or 5, so I don't even have a chance to playing it, or it just gets to a point where I'm playing a deck that just kills me off before I can even Immortal Servitude. So that's why I'm really trying to tweak this deck and trying to make it a little more consistent. I might take out the Gorehouse Chainwalkers and replace them with something a little more late game. So some of the other Rakdos cards still have haste, but they're a little bit tougher and a little bit harder to remove. I can't remember some of them, but I'm probably going to look around and play with some of those as well. But even an early Dynacharge, you know, doing it on turn 4 when I have 3 creatures out, making things 5/2s, 5/1s, 4/1s, just to swing in all at once, is pretty strong, and it'll definitely trade guys, or at least get around and do a lot of damage. I can of course supplement that with more Titan Strengths or anything like that. So I mean, the key to this deck is just to sort of play it really fast, just throw down the threats and try and get damage out, and if they trade or die, it's, you know, not too much of a problem because we'll bring them back with Immortal Servitude, and it has happened. You know, I have played Immortal Servitude and brought back, you know 3 or 4 of my Spike Jesters and Rakdos Shred Freaks, and being able to swing in with all of those on the turn I bring him in with Immortal Servitude is quite nice indeed. But yeah, that's the deck. That's the deck I'm running with, and you know, any suggestions or anything like that is awesome. Of course, for land wise, we are running 22 land. Ideally, these would be Blood Crypts, of course, but again, they're expensive, and I don't want to have to dish out that much money on MTGO for them. But just imagine we have 4 Blood Crypts. Right now, I only have 2 Rakdos Guild Gates in there, but ideally, you want 4 of the Blood Crypts, the Shocklands. So yeah, this is a really fun deck to play. I love playing aggressively, and this deck does just that. It's extremely fast, so if you don't have a lot of time to play MTGO and you want a really fast deck, either win fast or lose fast, then this is the deck for you. It punishes any deck that doesn't play anything, by turn 2 or 3. By then it's just too late, especially if I can get some madcap skills out. That's just one of the awesome things about this deck, is just the amount of low cost things it has. It just goes so fast, and I'll even use up Titan Strengths early on just to get that extra 3 damage in. And it just, yeah, it's a really, really fast deck. But again, I'm trying to adjust it a tiny little bit. So that's why I'm going to be probably adjusting the numbers of Burning Trees and Gorehouse Chainwalkers to include a little bit of more mid to late game reach, to be able to include, because we are wanting to play around Immortal Servitude and try and not worry about our guys dying, our Spike Jesters and Rakdos Shredder Freaks, but being able to bring them back with Immortal Servitude would be very, very nice indeed. That's the toughest part about this thing, is Immortal Servitude has 3 blacks in it to use, plus we have to have 2 extra to use for Spike Jesters and Rakdos Shredder Freaks. So a little bit of tough things in this deck, but again, I am adjusting it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it as an aggro deck. It's just the speed that it plays at is quite fast indeed. But with standard right now, I need to be able to have that mid to late game reach, at least for those rare circumstances where I can't win by turn 4 or 5. So definitely going to try and play around with that. But I am definitely going to record some games with this. It's really, really fast to play, so those videos will be a lot shorter than things such as my Izzet Elementals deck, so that's nice. I still am going to have to work on a sideboard as well. I don't really know how to sideboard against the sideboard with this deck, because taking stuff out is just sort of going to hurt its speed. But I do have things such as Active Treasons to take out those big guys I can't get around, and use them against them. So that's one of the cards that I'm playing with for that mid-game reach. Duress as well, if I'm playing against a sort of more control deck or burn deck, just to take out those burn cards, those things that can sort of hurt my creatures. And of course, I would rather have those be Thought Seizes, but again, prices are high for those, so I don't really want to shut the money. So Duresses just at least gives me the information on the opponent's hand, and I can take out some burns or counters or things like that when I need to. Lightning Strike is just there for the extra burn. Take out that. Lightning Strike's just for finish off, and if I need more burn or to use it as a little bit of removal, then I can do it that way. Seismic Stomp I'm going to experiment with too as well. It's only 2 mana, and it allows my creatures to get their full amount of damage in unless they board wipe me or something like that, or take out some of my guys with burn. Splatter Thugs are in there. I honestly don't know why. I might try playing them, but I'd just rather have the Gorehouse Chainwalkers in there because they're 1 less mana and still get the 3 damage. But Splatter Thugs do have first strike, so I am going to try and play around with those as well. For the little bit of tougher matchups, I'll probably switch out the Gorehouse Chainwalkers for Splatter Thugs. Volcanic Geysers, this is an older deck that I made, so I don't know why I have those in there. Possibly as more burn and more finishers, but again, I have Rakdos Return, so I'd just rather just play that. So I'm going to have to take out some stuff and adjust things, but overall, the main board is just sort of I'm happy with already and serving me quite well. But yeah, any comments or suggestions or anything like that just to improve this deck, definitely leave a comment below and definitely leave your suggestions, and I'll definitely get back to you. And if I do make adjustments to any of my decks, I'll probably make an update video on them if they do become pretty popular, but otherwise I'll probably just leave it as it is for now. Thank you guys for watching though, and I'll definitely be back with some games with this, as well as probably more games with my Izzet Elementals deck, and I'm definitely working on a deck. I'm thinking of making a Gruul aggro deck, green red aggro. Green and red are two of my favorite colors in Magic, and so putting them together in my favorite archetype, an aggro deck would be just awesome. I did see some Gruul aggro in the past Invitationals Star City games. I think it was Tom Ross and someone else were playing Gruul aggro. I can't remember his name, but yeah, they had some really interesting cards, and I want to try and sort of put my own little rogue twist on them. But I'm going to search through the cards and see if I can build something from there. Yeah, that's everything I need to say, and so I'll definitely talk to you guys later. Have a great day, guys.